All right, we're getting to it. The crypto story, it is historic in many ways. For 10 years, those in the crypto community have been trying to get an ETF approved. They finally got to the finish line yesterday. 11 were approved. They're now in the process of amassing assets, and it's going to have major ripple effects across the crypto community, but now also in everyday portfolios in the United States. Of course, in Canada, we'd already had that sort of first mover advantage when it came to approving those spot Bitcoin ETFs. Let's get some perspective. We've got Eric Balchunas with Bloomberg, the ETF analyst there, and Lucas Matheson, Canada's country director at Coinbase. Eric, I've been following your tweets and, in fact, your journey with these ETFs for some time. It is a race to amass assets. Right now, who's winning?
I would say BlackRock is out to an early lead. No shocker. Now, one note, though, a lot of the volume that we're seeing, and they've already traded over $1 billion, which again puts them over the where BITO had 2 years ago. So as a group, they're going to break the all-time record. And what is it, like not even 1030? That's a good sign. They could smash the record. That said, a lot of this money is probably pre-planned. Like BlackRock went around before they launched and sort of planned, got investors ahead of time. So I would call it seed capital-esque. It's going to be interesting to see how much it can hold up over the next few days. But nothing wrong with a big splash, nothing wrong with a couple billion coming in the first day. So I'd say this is going to be overwhelming and good for all of the sort of hype. It's going to live up to the hype, if you will. The numbers, the early numbers show BlackRock in the lead, Fidelity second, and Grayscale, they've already traded, they already have volume. So they've converted, but BlackRock's already ahead of them. So that's a big win for BlackRock so far, and probably a little bit of a negative for Grayscale. But Grayscale would be like my other big horse in the lead so far.
Well, I did see your tweet, your meme, that BlackRock saying to Grayscale, "I'm the captain now." And Bitcoin is sort of caught in this virtuous circle, right? These flows will still come as long as the price is moving higher, and the price is moving higher because there's buying activity.
Yeah, there'll be an upward spiral for sure. A lot of, Bitcoin is a commodity, right? It's only worth what someone else will pay for it, unlike stocks, which have intrinsic value and cash flow, and bonds, which have a coupon. So I expect a lot of volatility. I expect a lot of inflows and outflows. Gold ETFs kind of do the same thing. But as long as there's this new portal that's open to advisors in particular, and traffic starts to use that portal, it should be good medium long term for the price of Bitcoin. Short term, though, anybody's guess, because remember, there's been a big run up in price up till this point, but so far it's held up. A lot of people thought it'd be a sell the news event, not so far.
11 approved so far in a year. Are there more than 11 or less?
There's 11. So Grayscale converted and DeFi converted. So there was 2 conversions plus 9 fresh ones. That is insane to me. I mean, I've been covering ETFs for 20 years, and normally somebody files, they launch when they file, like it's a coordinated effort with the date. This time they gathered everybody together because it was such a unique situation. So we've never had a situation where like even 2, let alone 11 ETFs that did the same thing launched on the same day. Hence the Cointucky Derby phrase that we're sort of slapping on this, because it does feel like a horse race, and it never feels like that. Normally one comes first to market, gets the volume, then you get copycats, they try to find their way, and it's like any other sort of like marketplace in business. But 11 launching at the same time, again, unusual, fascinating experiment, and that's why we're tracking it kind of like a horse race.
Because you've covered this for so long, you know that the first Bitcoin ETF was in Canada. Purpose funds marketed as such, as owning a piece of history because it was the first. I don't know, will investors still have that kind of affinity for it, considering its fee is 1%? Right now, you can get U.S. ones for zero, paying zero for a period of time.
Yeah, nobody does the fee war like the U.S. So I think those other ETFs are going to probably have to deal a little bit, because a lot of investors across the world do come to the U.S. mostly for the volume. They love the big volume we have here, but the fees are also going to make those ETFs look expensive. The investors could get a sour feeling like, hey, I can get one in the U.S. for 30. Why are you charging me 1%? In terms of, Canada and being first, you have a habit of that. You had the first Bitcoin ETF. You also had the first ETF. You had the first bond ETF. You had the first cannabis ETF. Canada, I just think, has very liberal, and I'd say more free-thinking regulators. The U.S., we're very much more conservative. As you can see, it took a long time to get these launched, and that's pretty much par for the course in terms of new ideas. A lot of times they may get filed here, and they come out in Canada first.
All right, Eric, thanks so much for that perspective. That's Lucas Balchunas, who's been doing great reporting for Bloomberg on this launch. And Lucas Matheson joining us, the country director in Canada for Coinbase. And Lucas, maybe you want to pick up on Eric's point about, the U.S. kind of in many ways following in the footsteps of what took place in Canada first.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. I think Eric's right. We've been lucky in Canada. We've had ETFs here since early 2021. But obviously, this is a really exciting day for our industry. Certainly a watershed moment for crypto, and 10 years in the making. It's just it's incredible how much effort has gone into getting this approved. Also, a really big day for Coinbase. Coinbase has partnered with 8 of the 11 issuers that are going live today. So it's an exciting day for us as well.
What does this mean for Coinbase as a company? There were obviously questions, well, now if I can get it through traditional channels, why do I need to also have a Coinbase or a crypto account?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Coinbase, we see this as a huge positive for the industry, just really legitimizing BTC and crypto as sort of the future of money. But for us, Coinbase is proud to be partnering with some of the leading financial institutions in the world to bring this to market. We partnered, we're custodying assets for 8 of the 11 issuers and really supporting a lot of the trading and settlement that's happening in the back end. So we're really excited to be working with the best, working with BlackRock and all the other big financial institutions to bring these ETFs to market today. Did
they need you? Like they needed your expertise to do that? Because there maybe was a path where they just cut you guys out altogether.
Yeah, I think, it's really a testament to what Coinbase has been building for the last decade, and building the safest, most trusted platform in crypto has given us the ability to work with some of these leading financial institutions. And yeah, there is a lot of mechanical, technical challenges in the background with respect to cryptocurrency. And that's something obviously Coinbase has been spending a decade doing. So we're really excited to be working with them and offering sort of the custody, settlement, some of the exchange services and reporting in the back end for these financial institutions.
Over the time that we have covered Coinbase and its presence in Canada, I've discussed with you as well as Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong about, Canada versus the U.S. And it sounded like part of the expansion was because of some hostilities in the U.S. Now that directionally there are more positive moves happening in the U.S., does that mean the expansion or the enthusiasm for Coinbase's presence in this country will start to wane?
I don't think so. I think, Coinbase is an international global company. We're expanding all over the world. We're keen to get regulated and work with regulators all over the world. In Canada, we have been privileged here to have regulators who are forward thinking. As Eric mentioned, we've had regulators here who have been first in many, many areas. And we've been working very closely with regulators here in Canada to build a strong regulatory framework. And we're just getting started. This year we're working on expanding the products and services available for Canadians, specifically in sort of leveraged and derivative products, and expanding sort of the types of services that Canadians can get access to in the digital economy.
You mentioned that you're working with 8 of the ETFs in the U.S. I wonder if you could tell me about your relationship with the ETF providers in this country and what you expect for those to happen with those ETFs and those providers. They were first, but as I mentioned, they're also more expensive now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do support, we partner with the Canadian ETF providers. We support custody services, a number of other services for these providers. But generally, I think, this is really legitimizing the industry and giving an opportunity for more Canadians to get access to it. And I think for a lot of people that have been on the sidelines in Canada, this is really a moment to step back and dig in and learn a little bit about digital assets and what's happening in the digital economy. And so I think for Canadians, we expect to see more volumes. We had a very significant day yesterday, one of our largest days at Coinbase. We expect to see continued volumes increasing over the next couple months. As Eric mentioned, we expect things to spiral up.
Is ETH next? Ether?
We do expect Ethereum ETFs to be pursued in the US. In Canada, we already have access to those today, but we do expect sort of continued financial services being submitted to the SEC in the US.